Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I'm not gonna lie, I walked into a kerfuffle at work today. We had people going to space, which I wasn't ready for. I didn't even know was happening. Fortunately, they went up and they were there for like 30 seconds and then came back down, and everything was fine. So good for those people, I suppose. But this was the other thing where, like, I came to my coworkers like, Gore, they dropped this trailer, and I was like, SOB, man, the Monday drop continues to kill me, because if it dropped on a Tuesday morning, I would have been out in front of this right away, but it was already at work. And in all honesty, it's okay, because we're here now. We're gonna get ready to take a look at this trailer, and I do think it is a perfect transitional element coming off of what we've been talking about after the premiere of The Last of Us season 2 last night, because this movie features Pedro Pascal, and it comes from a director who likes to dabble in the world of horror. And if it's not a straight horror movie like Beau is Afraid, we'll play with horror elements, and that's certainly, I think, all vibes with what Pedro has going on with The Last of Us. So let's not waste any more time. What are we talking about? When you pull up a chair, take a seat. We're getting ready to take a look at the 1 minute teaser trailer for Eddington, the next feature for Ari Aster. And Aster, for me, is one of these folks in horror. And like, there's a lot of upcoming directors and creators out there, but there are three guys in the world of horror over the last few years that, for me, 3 for 3 through their first three features. We got to see Robert Eggers go 4 for 4 with Nosferatu last year. We hopefully will be seeing Jordan Peele go 4 for 4 with his next feature next year. And in the year of 2025, we are going to get our first chance to see Ari Aster go 4 for 4, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Aster. I think the way he uses dark, traumatic, familial story beats to create an anxiety and a fear at times in his movies is just one thing that is consistent across the board, and something that he just executes so well. I think what he does behind the camera is always fantastic, whether you jive with his scripts or not. The type of things he is crafting behind the camera and how he puts together a movie where he has his cinematographer moves the camera around, he just creates pretty and also disturbing images. And like I said, everything with him jives. I mean, I did not love Hereditary right out the gate, but the more I have watched it, mostly because it was a hard left turn into the occult, and I usually like a heads up about that. Knowing that that's in there, that movie just gets better for me. Midsommar, I mean, to get a horror movie in the daytime, genius. And something like Beau is Afraid goes more down the fantasy route, but utilizing horror elements for certain sequences created anxiety that was just perfect for that character. And now we head to Eddington, where he is kind of taking his first shot at a Western, which should be fascinating coming from someone like him. And the synopsis here reads: In May of 2020, a standoff between the small town sheriff and mayor sparks a powder keg as neighbor is pitted against neighbor in Eddington, New Mexico. And I feel like one of the earlier synopses that was on IMDb, I kind of said that there were outsiders either passing through or ending up having to land in Eddington for something. And as things shift tonight, you kind of get different things going on. So I think understanding that it's this sheriff versus mayor and it's going to pit people against each other puts Sasser in a place to do a lot of different things from a thematic and storytelling standpoint. And if he just does what he does, I think you're going to get some really great stuff, especially when you look at the cast he's bringing along. Like, yes, we've got Pedro in there, bringing back Joaquin Phoenix, adding the likes of people like Emma Stone and Austin Butler. Like, I love seeing these big name actors and these up and coming actors playing with directors that I feel very similar about, but also coming and playing in, worlds that might not always be what you would expect to see them in. And again, I don't know if this is going to have horror elements or be a horror movie. We just know that it's a Western of sorts from Aster. But when you look at the poster that we have here for Eddington, definitely feels like we'll get some horror imagery or elements played with at times. I mean, it's a bunch of buffalo acting like lemmings going off the side of a mountain. And when I saw the poster last week, I thought it was interesting because, it says hindsight is 2020. I'm like, oh, well, that would have made more sense had the movie come out in 2020, but the movie's set in 2020. So now it does make sense. So I don't want to waste any more time, man. I'm really excited to take a look at this. I can't believe I had to wait all day long for this trailer, so let's get it up for you. I've got it in front of me. Let's take a look at what we're getting with the fourth feature and first teaser trailer for Ari Aster's Eddington.
Of course, they keep looking at that lab in Wuhan, China.
Back with A24.
That lab in Wuhan, when that was established, it was 1956. Of course, that was the year Tom
That's
Hanks
interesting.
was born, the first celebrity with the virus. Mr.
Scrolling thing, so I must be on the phone right now.
Your life, you should think twice, because the people of Eddington like guns.
Your pain is not a coincidence. You are not a coincidence.
Oh, that looks great.
We are not a coincidence.
And I am speaking now to deny my husband's announcement yesterday, which was false.
Eddington, New Mexico, despite its meager population, is quickly being co-opted in online.
You definitely got to be talking about social media.
Continue leading our town and fighting the pandemic.
So Pedro's the mayor. Obviously, Joaquin is the sheriff. The sheriff assaults a protester in the town, rocked by murders. Horror elements. And Eddington. Coming soon. Ooh, official selection for Cannes. Interesting. The way my coworkers were talking, like, really cool. I was expecting a little bit more, but that is a clear tease. And just what we're seeing in the teaser, I think, are elements that I'm excited to see Aster play with, right? The effects of social media being at play when something powder keggish is going on in a town like Eddington, I think is really interesting. You're clearly setting that there are going to be lines, right? Like the synopsis says, neighbor versus neighbor are going to be pitted against each other. And you have, a mayor saying one thing, you got a sheriff saying another, and it's not shocking that you're finding them on opposite sides if there are murders going on in the town. And then you do seem to have, like, I would say just visually, Austin Butler is giving me like cult leader vibes. And maybe that's just because he was in a cult when he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But, just the visual look to him, like it looks like he's either a church leader or a cult leader. I can't really tell. He's got all the tattoos, so I'm thinking probably not church leader. But either way, the vibe there kind of gets the same feelings going with the way that you, through words, can rile people up and have them either rise or, deviate or whatever it is. But he clearly is going to have some sort of agenda that probably plays into whatever's going on with the sheriff and the mayor. And then you got Emma Stone in here, who I'm assuming is Austin Butler's wife. I would be shocked if she's married to Pedro in this movie or married to Joaquin. And like, it's one of those where I think Butler's someone who's shooting from the hip. He's not thinking about what he's saying when he gets a microphone in front of him. So his wife's got to apologize and kind of try to clarify, like, hey, what my husband was saying, is not necessarily what's going on. And it was hard to kind of hear what's going on. So I want to throw the subtitles on if I can, or at least read everything that they're saying. So 1 minute teaser, I say we take a look at this one more time. Because clearly, as Joaquin is scrolling through, again, seeing Ari play with social media and how that could impact things going on in the town, if there's a political divide, things going on with murders. Very fascinating. My guess would be that, like, the mayor ain't happy with what the sheriff's doing because there's murders piling up in this town. Let's take one more look at the trailer. And I'm going to have the subtitles up so I can read what's being said.
Of course, they keep looking at that lab in Wuhan, China. If you look at that lab,
So you're talking about
that was
COVID.
established. It was 1956. Of course, that was the year Tom Hanks was born, the first celebrity with the virus. Mr. Sleepless in Seattle.
If you value your life, you should think twice, because the people of Eddington like guns.
Your pain is not a coincidence. You are not a coincidence. We are not a coincidence.
And I am speaking now to deny my husband's announcement yesterday, which was false.
Eddington, New Mexico, despite its meager population, is quickly being co-opted in online circles.
I'm ready to continue leading our town and fighting the pandemic and the racial and economic.
Trying to explain. I think things that Aster's playing with here could be leading to something really good. It was good to put up the subtitles because it does clarify, like, we're in the pandemic, so it is like 2020. And I like that. Again, it even plays into, like, hindsight is 2020, like knowing all the things we know about what happened in 2020, how COVID could get people riled up and create, some of the tension that could be going on in Eddington. Clearly, with murders going on and things happening, you have a sheriff who's like, y'all should be careful because, like, people in this town, we like guns. You got Pedro talking about, hey, we're gonna rebound coming out of COVID and what's going on. And I'm gonna, lead the town through what it's got to go through. Again, I think Butler's giving you kind of cult vibes where it's like the way you feel, the way other people feel. It's no coincidence. This is, probably speaking to conspiracy theories or something like that. And it'll be interesting to find out what it is that he announced that Emma Stone has to deny. But yeah, I mean, it's a teaser. That's for darn sure. But I think what you're getting in that teaser, and especially with social media and the COVID era, are all really interesting thematical elements for Aster to play with. And like I said, if you got murders in there, it might not play like a horror, right? We're going more Western, but it'll be interesting to see what them play with those horror elements, because everything at play there could be utilized in a horror movie. And that's one of the things that I really dig about Aster coming off of Beau is Afraid, is seeing how he adapts his horror vibes into different genre and different stories and worlds. But that certainly gives me enough to get more excited about this movie. I'm really interested to see what Aster is playing with and what you got from acting side of things with 4 very, very different characters. I think should be a lot of fun to see whenever we get there. So I'm excited for Eddington, but I was also in just because it's Ari Aster, and as soon as it was announced, I was like, sign me up for our next feature there. The question is, what about you? Where do you land on Ari Aster? I think he is one of those creators that, I think most of us, especially horror fans and A24 fans, have dug pretty much everything he's done. But like I said, Beau is Afraid gets real out there. You have the hard left turn in Hereditary, and Midsommar is a movie, I think, that just did some really shocking things that may have turned people off. So does Aster work for you as a writer and a director? Do you prefer to see him play in the world of horror, or do you like the fact that after his first 2 horror features, he's starting to branch out into different genres? What do you think is going on in Eddington besides murder, things happening, and body counts rising? What is working? What is not? What are you excited about? Anything you got, good, bad, indifferent, on the teaser trailer for Eddington. I want those thoughts down below in the comments section. Look forward to talking to you all down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to hang out with the C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer reactions, you want to be here for my Last of Us coverage, since Pedro was there and we were talking about him. You want to be here as we get full trailers and eventually get to see Eddington. You want to know my thoughts around all that stuff, you just leave the body. You want to show a little love and support, come join the C-Maniac Nation. Super easy. Jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. Until next time with the C-Man's Cinema. Sit down. I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace.
C-Maniac Nation, you look nervous. Is it the scars? Would you like to know where I got them? No? Well, then maybe you'd like to see another video with the C-Man. How about up here or over here? And if you really dig the C-Man, well, then show him a little love right over there.